Hello, fire goddesses, and welcome to episode 95. In today's episode, I am going to talk about why it is so important to raise your standards now. I'm going to keep this short, go right into the episode today, but I invite you to listen to this episode from beginning to end, maybe even multiple times, and take notes, because what I'm going to offer in this episode will really help you consider what it is in your life you need to change in order to build your outer empire. So, fire goddesses, stay tuned. Hello, fire goddesses. Welcome to the Reclaim Your Fire podcast. My name is Angela Noel, and I am a prosperity coach for the newly awakened or awake curious, driven overachiever, and overdoer. After running a successful acupuncture practice in Boston for 12 years, I decided to hang my hat by closing the practice and pursue what it is that I'm really meant to do in this world, and that is to serve humanity online on a global scale. Using my background in Chinese medicine, along with the brain science of habits, spirituality, and divine masculine and feminine energy balance, I am here to help you not just understand, but know how powerful you are, and that you are the person who is responsible for having the finances, inner peace, radiant health, and energy, aka the fire, in your life that you've always desired. My intention with this podcast is to serve humanity, no matter what gender you identify as, to help bring out the divine feminine goddess in each and every one of you. As you probably are already aware, the world is changing and is begging for the goddess to come out in each and every one of you. So, fire goddesses, stay tuned. Hello, fire goddesses, and welcome to episode 95. My name is Angela Noel, and I am the host of the Reclaim Your Fire podcast, the podcast which you are currently listening to. And in today's episode, I want to chat with you about raising your standards. Now, you may have heard this term tossed around a lot, whether it be when you're looking for a job, or if you're dating, looking to find a new partner. Maybe you are in the process or in a phase of your life where you feel like you are no longer in alignment with some of the people that you spend your time with, and you want to raise your standards. And maybe you realize that you want a different life besides the life that you have been living since the day you were born, or for the last 5 years or 10 years or whatever it is for you. And what many people don't realize is that when you decide to raise your standards, what you are actually doing is reinventing yourself to the point where it may be uncomfortable sometimes to really remain in integrity with those standards. So I want to chat with you a little bit about this, because I feel like this is, a lot of people say they want to raise their standards, or that they want things, they want the first class tickets, or they want the luxury car, or they want the dream home, or the 7-figure, 8-figure lifestyle. However, there is a part of this that a lot of people miss the mark on. And that is, while yes, from the outside, you may believe and feel that you are raising your standards. You might declare it on the outside, like, I am raising my standards, or however you want to word it. I am choosing to hang out with people that align with my soul. I am choosing to only accept job interviews from companies that really, really excite me. I am choosing to date people that only align with my values. Oh, I have a little bit of brain fog. I did not mention this. So, side note, I am currently on my second round of COVID. I went to Florida last week and I came back not really feeling too hot. And I took a test when I got back and I tested positive. So I have some brain fog. This is really the first time in 48 hours that I'm really doing anything besides laying flat out on my bed or basically not doing anything. But I'm feeling really inspired to come on the mic and talk. But if I'm sounding a little slow or if I'm not sounding 100% like myself, it's because I am recovering and I'm doing just fine. I feel overall really well. It's just the brain fog and it's the fatigue, so bear with me. So what was I saying? I lost my train of thought after all of that. So your standards, what most people don't realize when you change your standards is that, you're basically changing your identity to the core. And it's more than just let's take it back a little, let's backpedal a little bit. So say that you want to lose weight or you want to get healthy, right? There's so many people that say, I want to lose weight and I want to be healthy and I want to stop drinking Coca-Cola and I want to only eat organic and I want to incorporate my 6 to 10 servings of veggies and eat the rainbow every day, right? There's a lot of people out there that are saying that they want to do that, but without actually being that person, right, at the identity level, who wants to have that health and well-being, that new sense of freedom that comes from being healthy, you're not going to have it, right? It's just lip service at this point. And I've talked about changing your identity, and I've talked about making choices and taking personal responsibility for your life. And changing your standards comes along with that, right? So it's another step that's involved with up-leveling your life and having the life that you want, having the financial freedom, having the inner peace, having the radiant health, having the energy balance, the fire in your life that you desire. So what I want to talk about is I want to kind of take you behind the scenes and discuss with you what it might look like to really raise your standards. And you might be surprised to realize that it often involves sitting in some really uncomfortable situations sometimes. It might involve being alone and going against the crowd. It might involve doing something or speaking up for yourself in a way where it's going to feel like you are the lone wolf and you are going against the crowd when everybody else wants to do something and you do not want to do it, right? It might involve letting go of a friendship. It might involve breaking up with somebody. It might involve setting a hard boundary with your kids, with your family members, with any person who's used to interacting with you in a certain way or making agreements with you in a certain way. When you raise your standards, it's not always going to feel good. So I got the idea about this podcast specifically, even though I talk about this kind of thing a lot, setting boundaries, changing your identity, being the person you need to be in order to have the life that you want. I got the idea about this podcast specifically because I was in a situation recently, I'm not going to go into detail, where I was not forced, right? Because it was a choice, right? We are never forced to do anything. We are always choosing for ourselves. And that is where the power comes in. But I was in a situation where I was with a group of people traveling, and the group wanted to do one thing, and I did not want to do it. It was against my standards. And it was something that I had mentioned early on that I was unwilling to do. And the group went ahead and decided they were going to do this thing anyway. And I said no, basically. And it was not easy for me to do it. It was really, 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 really uncomfortable. And the reason why is because I am a recovering people pleaser, right? I am also somebody that I think a lot of people are going to be able to relate to this, that when I show emotion, especially in front of a lot of people, I often get vulnerability hangovers afterwards, right? And so with those two things in mind, both things happened, right? I got very, very vulnerable, and because I was feeling sort of like I needed to make this decision under fire, I got really emotional because lesson learned, like it's never really a good idea to go into your emotions. It's always a good idea to be in your personal power, even though overall, I do think that I chose powerfully in this situation, but I think because I was faced to make a decision really, really fast, I did get emotional for a little while because there was this part of me that was kind of in disbelief that this whole thing was happening. And there was nothing terrible. There was nothing, crazy. It was just, I was in a situation where I feel like I really had to fight for my standards, and it felt very uncomfortable, and as a result I got emotional. And I think it's a totally a normal response, but looking back, I think that I would have maybe asked for some space. I share my personal stories because I know that they help other people, right? When we share our stories, we help other people so that they can grow and evolve, and so that they can navigate these trying times later on in their life. So I was in this situation where I felt like I needed to think quick, and I knew deep down in my heart that if I went along with the group that I was traveling with, it would have been a disservice to myself. I would not have acted in integrity with my values. I would have been lowering my standards because I'm working on raising my standards, not lowering my standards. And the only person I would have let down was myself. Now, there is part of me that was kind of curious, saying, you know what, Angela, you can do it just this one time. You can do it just this one time. It won't really be a big deal. And goddesses, thankfully, because of all the inner work, because I have been building my inner empire for so many years now, that I was able to recognize that caretaking, that people pleasing, that codependent part of myself immediately. And I even received an intuitive download because I kind of needed to allow myself to stop and freeze and go within and ask my higher self, like, is this what you really want? And the answer was a hard no. So I said, no, I'm not going to do this. And there was part of me that felt for a split second like I'm letting down the group, and the people are going to be mad at me, and I'm ruining their plans. And here I am. I'm just standing in my power. I am choosing to abide by my standards and stay in integrity with my values. And I know that there are people listening that might say, well, sometimes you just need to compromise, right? That's what you do in relationships. That's what you do when you travel with large groups. However, that is true, but you also have to look at what you are willing and unwilling to tolerate. It comes down to a self-worth issue, right? When you value yourself and you know that you are worthy of only the best that life has to offer, you realize that it's no longer necessary to compromise your integrity with yourself. Because here's what happens. Every time you lie to yourself, or every time you say you're going to do something, or you say you're going to raise your standards and then you lower your standards, or every time you go against your values, you are taking away from your self-worth. You are telling yourself that you are either not worthy or you're losing trust with yourself. You understand what I'm saying? So every time you fall out of integrity and lower your standards after you've raised them, and by the way, in order to have the life that you want, you need to, I don't know how many times I can emphasize this, okay? So write this down, pause this part of the episode. In order to have the life that you want, you need to raise your standards and you need to change your values and be that person and live according to those standards and live according to those values every single day, right? It's not a matter. So earlier in this episode, I talked about the people that say they're going to quit the Diet Coke and say they're going to lose weight, but they don't change their standards and they don't change their values and they don't change their identity. It's not going to happen, right? So every time you lower your standards, you're basically taking away from that future self, that person that you need to be in order to have whatever it is you want, the dream relationship, the fabulous boyfriend, the dream mid-century modern home, the Tesla, the 7 and 8 figure business. So that is really how it works, goddesses. That is how it works. And if you are somebody that is continuously wishing that you had it different in your life, I invite you to play the heck out of this episode, because raising your standards and staying in integrity with your standards every day, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it means that you have to say no, even if it means that some people might be disappointed in you, even if it means that people might say things behind your back, you're going to live. Even if it means you lose some relationships along the way, you're going to expand so much that you're going to start to attract more and more of the people that you actually want into your life anyway. And those people that in your interpretation you're leaving behind because you let them down or whatever, they're either going to choose to grow with you and expand with you, or they're just going to fall off. And that's what happens when you show other people, when you stay in integrity with yourself and you show other people what is possible when you become a better version of yourself. And I want to actually correct that and say when you become that person that you already are, right? Because it's not a matter of you're a lower version of yourself and that's just who you are. You are that lower version of yourself because of societal conditioning, because of that energy around indoctrination and being told over and over again and taught over and over again that you're not worthy because you need external validation, or you need, in order to be healthy, you need to take this medicine or whatever. Obviously live responsibly and do the things that you need to do to be well and to live well, but it's not because you are a lower version of yourself. You were born sovereign. You came out of the womb sovereign, and it was through societal indoctrination and parenting or the news or religion or the education system, all the things, right? I talk about this all the time in the podcast. That is what brings your vibration down. That is what leads you to believe that you have limiting beliefs, that you can't do things. You're the type of person that says you're not creative, or you can't play the guitar, or you're not smart enough, you're not good enough to attract an amazing, like, hot man, or whatever it is that you want. It's not because it's something that is wrong with you per se. It's the conditioning. So all this is doing, by living according to these higher standards and this higher version of yourself, is only bringing you back to yourself. You are a 100% sovereign, light being who is more powerful than any of the rules and any of the indoctrinations that you've learned along the way. Your body can heal. You can accomplish whatever it is that you desire when you get into this energy. You can have whatever it is that you desire. In fact, it's already there for you, waiting for you to claim it, but you need to be at that vibrational frequency in order to get it. So bringing this back a little bit, goddesses, if you don't have what you want, I invite you to look at the standards that you have created for yourself. And are you living according to those standards every single day, even if you are not comfortable? Are you following me? Because it's hard. Do you think that I wanted 10 other people to have to change their plans because what they wanted to do was not something that I was willing to do? You need to really take into consideration ahead of time those kinds of situations so that you are fully aware of who you are and where you're going, so that if somebody springs, I mean, these kinds of situations never happened to me. Like this was all new to me. I was traveling with new friends and I was not expecting this change of plans, okay? So it's a really good idea to do the inner work, develop a really strong sense of self-worth, decide for yourself what values are your top 5, your top 10 values, and do the work every single day so that you don't fall out of integrity with your standards. Recently, I was in one of my Facebook groups that I'm in, and there was somebody that was concerned. She had been doing a lot of inner work. She was in this community that I'm involved in with Jim Fortin, who I talk about all the time, my mentor. And she was really concerned about how she was just losing everything that she'd learned when she was in the Jim Fortin program. And sometimes, I mean, it happens to all of us, right? We get into our shadow. And our shadow tells us we're not worthy, or we're losing everything that we learned, or whatever stories that we tell ourselves. And that happens, right? It's not like we're perfect all of the time, and once we learn it, we get it. Like part of the human experience is working with the ego, working with the tonal, who's like that pesky little child who's always going to rattle the cage and tell us there's something wrong with us. But instead of reacting to that reacting to the tonal, reacting to the ego and believing everything that voice says, the only reason why that tonal exists is to show us and teach us how to expand and be better. But unfortunately, in society, we don't learn those things. We learn to believe these limiting beliefs about ourselves. We learn to believe certain things about ourselves, that we're not good enough, we're not powerful enough, that we're gonna unlearn everything that we've learned because, there's only so much I can say about this particular subject, and I don't want to go over too many people's heads. So let's just say, and trust me when I say this, that you are, I know this to be true. Let's just keep it at this. You are more powerful than you could ever imagine. And it is your personal responsibility to do the work, raise your vibration, step into your divine feminine energy and your divine masculine energy, get balanced in your energy systems, get your body healthy and strong, get really, really clear about your habits and do them every day, even if you don't want to. You got to start somewhere, right? And become that person at the deep identity level that is no longer going to lower her standards because somebody else wants them to. And trust that the universe always has your back. So if you want to build that outer empire, you want to build that business. Okay, when I talk about the outer empire a lot, so many of us want this empire, right? So whether we're talking about having the business that we want, you want to be the CEO of your life, you want to have 4 kids with your perfect partner, that you've always dreamed of. You want to have your dream home. Maybe you want to be a digital nomad. You need to build your inner empire first. And that is to be impeccable with this work. Impeccable with this work. And when I talk about this work, I'm talking about inner work. Starting with getting your body, the vessel which you experience this life experience, super, super healthy. And then developing your habits that are going to keep you in integrity with keeping your body healthy. Because when your body is healthy, that is when you start to receive the information from the divine feminine. That is when your intuition gets stronger. That is when you start to develop more creativity. That's when you get those ideas and it's like, oh, it just came out of left field and it was so easy. That's the way it's supposed to be in the creative process. We're all born creative beings. But it starts with, so many people, I talk spirit, I talk woo, I talk about the 3D stuff too. And people say, well, I attract a lot of spiritual people and they say, law of attraction, I'm going to attract this dream life. Well, the thing is, in order to have that dream life, you still need to kind of do the things, right? You still need to do the things. You need to show up for yourself. You need to get into the kitchen more and you need to make the meals and you need to drink the water even though your ego is telling you, your habit voice is telling you, let's just have a soda today. Let's just have a Coke today instead, right? You need to do the things. You need to work with yourself. And that's how I help people. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. So if you want the life, if you want that outer empire, if you want to reclaim your fire in 2022, 2023, whenever you're listening to this, reclaiming your fire, financial abundance, inner peace. So many people are in disarray right now. They're like, what is inner peace? What does that mean? I'm not even, they're in survival mode. I don't even know what that means. I still don't sleep at night. I can barely feed my children, much less myself. So therefore, I'm going to just eat whatever is around. I'll go to McDonald's or I'll eat whatever's in the freezer and put it in the microwave. No. You need to develop your inner empire. You need to get your body healthy and strong. You need to get a hold of your sleep and your sleep quality. You need to get back to basics. Okay? If you're not there, you need to do that first. And then as I help my clients get really healthy, we're always kind of working on the physical body. Then we work on the other things, right? Then we get those healthy habits going. And then, and as you do this work, right, it's not a linear experience for so many of us, right? Because we have our traumas and we have our limiting beliefs and we have our stories. So a lot of times you need a mentor or a coach to kind of help you through that. Like, where is this coming from? Where is this coming from? So if you're listening to this and this is resonating, let's chat. Let's chat. I'll leave all my links in the show notes, or you could go on my website at www.angelanoelinternational.com/links and set up a single call. Let's chat. Let's get your inner and outer empire completely set up for 2022. I'm really, obviously really excited about this, and I'm really excited to help you with this. So let's do it, Goddess. All right. So until next time, Goddess, be radiant, be powerfully authentic, and know that you can reclaim your fire at any time. Take care. Bye. Hi, this is Angela Noel, and thank you so much for listening to this podcast. If you have found value in listening to this podcast, I would be so grateful if you could kindly share this podcast with those you care about. Please help me spread the word of empowerment and possibility and expansion by sharing this podcast. Or you could also leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Remember to follow me on Instagram at I am Angela Noel, Or you could go to my website at www.angelanoelinternational.com to learn more about my work and to find out how you can work with me. Thank you very much.